Hello. So what we're going to do today, if you're looking at my screen, I have Postman up. What is Postman? Postman's a tool that allows you to kind of test and use APIs. And it's a really good tool to kind of build out workflows that exist within that can exist within an API, and then you can kind of take this data and put it into like a script, or maybe put it into like an Ansible playbook. But this will be the first of my kind of password safe / secret safe videos. So this will be kind of more of like an intro piece to how to use the password safe / secret safe API. So the very first thing that you have to do is authenticate. And so if we take a look here, and if you need access to kind of this this file, this is something that can be provided. Ask your friendly BeyondTrust solutions engineer, and this is something that can be provided to you if you're interested in. But this is kind of taking the 300-page API guide documentation and putting it in a way that you can kind of consume it and test it in a simple, easy manner. So how are we doing authorization? We are using an API key in this case. We're passing in an API user. If we look at actually this piece is really simple, right? The post command, what we're actually posting is the name of my URL. I'm using an environment variable. If you see these like curly brackets with that are lit up in orange, that's how Postman displays that. And so the very first thing that I need to do in order to use the API is to get authenticated. And this will give me a token that I can use through any of my preceding API calls. All right, awesome. So if you look down below, these are the results. They're shown in the pretty format, and this is the user ID for my API user. That's chweaver-API. There's an email address that's associated with it, and it's my account, right, that I use for my API examples. The password safe APIs are split up into kind of 3 different sections. We'll ignore workflows for the time being. But BeyondInsight, this is really the APIs that allow us to kind of really do more of like the management piece behind password safe. If I need to add in assets, take a look at smart rules for. Actually, why don't we actually run this one? So why don't we say, show me asset-based smart rules. All right, and with that smart rule type set to asset, if we look down below, we can see the smart rule ID and the title, description, the category, the last time that the smart rule was processed, and really good information around kind of the asset-based smart rules that the API user has access to. So in this case, I can just see all assets and then this Weaver Windows machines. And it's all driven by the role-based access control that exists inside of password safe. We're not breaking anything by using the API. The API users can see the same things that users inside of password safe that itself can actually see. So often a good way to kind of test your API if you're seeing kind of issues here would be go and look at the permissions that your user has if they were to log in. I think best practice is that API user has that forms login disabled, so they're only communicating with API, but that is one of the tricks that you can use to validate, hey, are we actually seeing what we need to see? And the API guide does a pretty good job of telling you kind of what features that you need to have in order to be able to do something. So let's walk through. So that's like the BI, management of, BeyondInsight, kind of the, bringing in assets and managing them. Well, actually, I guess the management piece, bringing them into password safe, would be under the password safe API section. So So what we're actually going to do, instead of looking at the APIs under password safe, all useful, good information, as I'm going to walk you through an actual workflow. So this workflow section, even though it has its own heading, really falls under the password safe API use case. So what we'll actually do is, and I don't have to make any modifications here, is I'm going to get a list of managed accounts linked to systems that my API user has access to. I'll hit the send button. I'm already authorized or authenticated with the API. Essentially, as long as I keep going, it'll time out eventually, but should be long enough for my video. All right, so kind of the first account here is my admin account on the RDS01 box. This is a Windows server in my environment, so I get this nice system ID as well as account ID. And as we progress through this workflow, you'll see where we actually need to take advantage of those. So in order to request the password for this credential, I am going to, and I didn't actually copy it, I'm going to need that account ID. All right, so here we are on the request section here, and I need to update the account ID, the system ID, it's just going to be a view password request. We'll give myself 10 minutes to view it. I had to make a quick edit here, had a syntax error. You can't, with a JSON format, can't leave a hanging comma for the last option. So it's fine now that I've added in this conflict option to renew. So if there is an existing approved request, I'm going to cancel that one and create a new one so I get a new ID. So just a minute ago I just created one. We're going to go ahead and send this request on through, and that will give me a new request ID, which I can use in the next step, right? So this 46294, we had a successful, this 201 code basically means that the API was successful. We're good to go. I can move on to the next step. So I haven't gotten access to that credential. What I actually need is to put this, or do this get command to get the credentials using that request ID that I was just given. So we'll go ahead and send this on through. And what will actually be posted is the password, right? So I have the administrator password on my RDS01 box. And just as an example, this is a way that I could use the API to go get a credential. And the next two steps, even though it says these are optional, always recommended that when you're done with the credential, certainly we can go wait for the request to automatically time out on its own, but best practice is go clean up after yourself. And that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to check that request back in. And because we're not done, we're not going to sign out. But if we were done with our workflow, we would actually sign out here. So that's a way that we can retrieve a password that's managed by PasswordSafe. So, assuming that we have like a change after release for that credential, in this case, I believe I actually have an override for that just for demo purposes. Without that, it would have changed the password. So let's talk through now our secret safe API use case. And I think the best place to start is to see the folders that my user has access to. So the chweaver-API can not only see credentials inside of PasswordSafe, but also secrets that are stored in certain folders. And we're going to pick on this demo folder. So I've got a couple of secrets stored. I'm going to grab this folder ID. I will need that for my next piece, which is we're going to go into the secret section. And what I want to see is, hey, tell me what secrets are actually stored inside of that demo folder. So we'll paste that in. Actually, looks like I already had that. All good. We'll send that. We'll do this get command, and there we go. I've got a couple of secrets. So secret 1 and secret 2. Now the good thing, the point that I need to make here is there's no password. So these are actual credentials, but this is gonna be everything about the credential, the owner, when it was created, last time it was modified, the folder ID, all that stuff in here, but it's not actually showing me what the password is. If I want to know what the password is, for example, for this secret1 underscore API, I need to grab this ID for that secret, and then we're going to put this in this command, which is where we get the secret by that GUID. And from here, we can do a paste and send that on through. And that's the very basic workflow for how to get the actual stored password in secret safe for a secret that we've stored. Because it's the same data we saw before. The big difference is, hey, there's the password, right? There's also a way to create secrets. At that point, it would be a post. And so what I would want to do here, and I've already got my demo folder ID loaded in here. What I would want to do is update the the title here. I've already got a secret 1 and a secret 2. Let's do a secret 3. Different user, and I'm going to have it use this password rule to kind of automatically generate a password for me. And all right, so with all of that set, I'm now able or ready to create that secret 3 via the API. There we go. So it created the ID for it. That's all the information. It doesn't display the passwords, but the password was auto-generated using that password rule ID 0, which is the default password rule. So the nice thing about all of this is that with Postman, it shows you from a workflow perspective, what it is that you need to do. It's a good way to kind of test this, but you could take all of this and put it into a script. So the next videos that I'm going to have here on the channel, there will be one that's actually going to take the secrets workflow that I've done and actually grab all the secrets that exist inside of a folder. And using a loop, I can actually loop through all of those secrets that are there and pull out the password for each of them and display it along with the other secret information in a table on the screen. And then I'll have a video that'll show a sample Ansible playbook of taking not only a secret that exists inside a secret safe, but also a password inside a password safe and putting that in place. So the idea is that instead of putting hard-coded credentials into code, we can actually make calls to secret safe or password safe to grab those credentials, whether it's a static credential or it's a credential that's actually being rotated on a regular basis.